Center, and we're glad that you can join us as we walk you through ScreenU. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page about some of the technology with our webinar. So there is a chat function. You have the ability to chat with the whole group or with a specific attendee. And we did mute everyone to eliminate the background noise. So if you have any questions, please message us with the question and answer function, and we will get to your question. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So we really wanted to kind of walk you through the basics of ScreenU, focusing on the what, who, when, where, and how, and then we'll show you the actual product so that you can get an idea of how it works so that you can begin using it on your campus as part of our pilot project. So the what about ScreenU? Well, ScreenU is a web-based SBIRT program. And SBIRT is screening, brief intervention, referral to treatment. It is used to identify at-risk students. So students will take a screening to identify their risk level, and will receive some feedback and a brief intervention and resources that could include a referral to treatment if a student warrants that. SBIRT is evidence-based, and ScreenU is based in that research. So a recent meta-analysis of over 185 studies found that there are a number of beneficial outcomes to using SBIRT, and that paired with the savings in resources makes SBIRT a worthwhile prevention strategy for both adolescents and young adults. And when we look at studies that are specific to implementing SBIRT with college students, we found students who participate in the SBIRT process have a reduction in blood alcohol concentration, reduced number of drinks per setting, and the number of drunk episodes per week. And we've also found literature that says that incorporating screening and brief intervention into campus judicial systems is really worthwhile because it provides an opportunity to catch students who may be at a higher risk for experiencing negative consequences related to their alcohol use. There's also support to suggest that using SBIRT in a web-based or computerized way is effective as well. And so we've taken a look at that research, and it's informed us as we have developed ScreenU. So ScreenU is personalized to your campus. You'll have the ability to log on and create your own portal, which will be personalized with your campus logo, and it'll have your own campus resources. So the who, any Ohio College Initiative campus is eligible for a pilot license right now. So there'll be one login and password per campus, but each license allows an unlimited number of campaigns and screening for your campus. The ScreenU program was designed specifically for college students, so we kept that in mind through the entire process, and it can be administered by anyone. So someone doesn't need special training to be able to administer ScreenU. It can be done on its own or in partnership with a provider or a campus professional. And it's hosted by the Higher Education Center. So when of ScreenU? So campuses that are signing on to pilot licenses right now have access to ScreenU for one full calendar year for free. And one of the things that we are asking for is just to get some feedback from you about the process. So we have a brief evaluation that we'll be sending out quarterly that we're asking our campuses to participate in. So that first evaluation will happen mid-December, and then they'll go out quarterly from there. So what makes ScreenU unique compared to other SBIRT programs is oftentimes SBIRT is done in a student health service setting or a counseling service setting with a healthcare or mental health professional who has been trained in motivational interviewing. What we've done is taken components of motivational interviewing and put them in a web-based form so that it can be done in a number of settings across your campus. So we encourage you to think outside the box when looking at ways to implement ScreenU and look beyond the typical healthcare provider. As we mentioned earlier, an opportunity to implement ScreenU would be places where we might find students who are struggling or have identified at higher risk. So if a student is struggling academically, is part of the reason alcohol or drug related. So an academic advisor might be an appropriate setting to implement ScreenU. Student conduct, student legal services, residence life, and with higher risk groups like athletics and Greek life are all opportunities to implement ScreenU. And the how. So this is kind of just a basic format of how ScreenU works. We have a ScreenU alcohol and a ScreenU RX looking at prescription drugs, and both of them run the same way. So students will take a brief screening. That screening for alcohol is based on the audit, which is a evidence-based screening tool. It's 10 questions. Students start with a gateway question to identify whether or not they have used in the last 12 months. If they have, they will be routed to the rest of the screening where they will complete that tool and their risk level will be identified. So they'll receive feedback based on their individual risk level. And from that, they will have the opportunity to answer some questions that emulate the motivational interviewing process. So it gets students to think about the risk that they have for using and the potential benefits if they reduce their risk or stop misusing. And they also have the opportunity to think about how ready they are for change. So we have a sliding scale that you'll see in a moment that students can use to identify if they are ready for change and how ready they are. And from there, they'll receive resources that have been personalized by your campus to help students get the support that they need. And we have resources that span all different risk levels. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kristen Dalquist, our program manager, and she's going to kind of walk us through, the program.
Good morning, everybody. This is Kristen. Thank you for joining us today as we share with you ScreenU. This is the website that you will access your dashboard and your campaigns that I'll show you here in a minute. You can find it at ScreenU.org, and it is live now if after the webinar you want to poke around and get used to it. To begin, I'll show you how to log in. So at the top here or on this tab, ScreenU Access, you can access your dashboard. I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. You will have a username and a password, and you can have 3 usernames per campus. This is your dashboard. This gives you a top-down look of the recent statistics on your campus of the students who did take the screening for both alcohol and prescription drugs. You can also compare it against the national ScreenU alcohol data and the national ScreenU RX data. Now this data is aggregate, so we do not know which campus provided the data, but we see an aggregate of everything going on across the nation. To begin, let's share with you how to edit your account. This is where you will edit your campus logo, the main contact, the address, and your login information. You can change your password at any time, and it is in real time. Secondly, let me share with you the campaign. Campaign is a word that we use to describe a group of screenings for a student. So if you would like to screen, let's say, everybody in Greek life, you would create a campaign, title it Greek Life, and then you could send that screening to all of the students who are Greek on your campus. You can do the same with student athletes, student wellness center, any student that comes through student conduct each semester. So let me share with you what that looks like. Let's just look at Greek life here for a moment. Here in the campaign for Greek life, you can change the name, you can change the start date. This start date reflects as soon as the URL or the screening is live. So if this start date starts, next week, if I were to try to take the campaign, it wouldn't work. The end date, this is the date that that campaign closes. So we require you to have both a start and an end date for each one of your campaigns. I foresee a lot of start and end dates being the beginning of the semester and the end of the semester. You can edit the welcome message. This is the message that a student will see as soon as they are given the screening. You can edit this at any time, as well as a thank you message. This is the page where you actually see the URL that your student will receive in whatever setting decided upon. And we'll show you exactly what that looks like later in the webinar. Let me just explain to you what all of these icons mean under your ScreenU Alcohol campaign. So you have your title, and this is something that you decide, and you can change at any time. You have your responses, so you can see that 8 students have responded and taken the Greek life survey as of this point. There were 2 students who took the student athlete survey, and so forth. This is the start date that I just explained, as well as the end date. This little arrow means that I can create a follow-up campaign. So if you want to see change over time in an aggregate way, you can create a follow-up campaign. This follow-up campaign allows you to send this screening to the same students who took it previously. Now, there's a way to upload your student list, and then it will send the exact same screening to the students who did respond to that first list to be able to see change over time, which is a really neat function of this system. This is where you can easily access the reporting, which again is in real time. These green power buttons mean that the survey or the campaign is still open. If the start date and the end date were in the past, this would be red. When it becomes red, you cannot take it anymore. If a student went to that URL, it wouldn't work. And then there are these trash bins, and you can only delete a campaign if a student hadn't taken it yet. So if I accidentally created a campaign and I wanted to delete it, I could right here. And if I wanted to delete a campaign that happened in the past, I'm unable to do so actually. And we did that for several reasons. Here is a power button that's red to denote that it is closed and that happened in the past. So let's move along our dashboard and learn how to create a new campaign. So first, you would choose which program you want, ScreenU Alcohol or ScreenU RX. Again, they are 2 different surveys with 2 different sets of feedback and resources. We'll create the title of the campaign, and this will just say first year student. So let's say that I want to screen every first year student here at Ohio State. This is the time that it is right now. I'm just going to leave it so it's immediately open, and I'm going to give them to the end of the semester to finish the campaign. I'm going to keep the welcome and thank you message as the same. And then this is where you could add the group of students that you already have their email addresses. Basically, what you do is you upload an Excel file right here, and then you proceed to do a mail merge, and that can be explained at a later time if you're interested in going on a mail merge if you're not familiar with that tool. It's actually pretty simple once you learn how to do it. So the campaign was added successfully. If I had made any mistakes or didn't include any information, it would give me an error message, and I would be able to go back and fix that. So here's my campaign, first year students. You can see that nobody has responded. It's an open campaign, and it ends 12/18/26. I could click on it and edit it from this page, and I also can see the URL. So if I wanted to click the URL, here's the screening. So it's very, very simple. And then Cindy is going to share with us some information about the resources, how to renew the programs, and the reporting.
Okay. So as we mentioned before, campus resources are put together by your campus. So you have the opportunity to upload resources that are local to your community and campus. And we have them categorized in 3 different ways. We have the ScreenU Alcohol, ScreenU Rx, and ScreenU Recovery, because we know that some resources may be more appropriate for one group rather than another. So when we take a look at each area, you'll notice that some of the resource areas are highlighted with an ombre color, and some of them are in gray. And it's a way to quickly see which areas have had resources populated versus areas that have not had resources populated. So once you click on them, you can expand each category of resources to identify the resources that have been put into that category. So for example, under Counseling and Consultation Services and resources, we have Community Counseling Center and Counseling and Consultation Services. So that might be a campus counseling center as well as the counseling center that's in our community, and we can continue to add resources here. So we're going to move down to Student Legal Services and add that to our screening. So you want to include all of the information that you would need, location, address, a phone number, an email, and a website. And then once we add it, you'll notice that our resource turns from gray to that ombre color. So we know that we have included resources in student legal. And one of the things that I want to mention that I didn't is that each resource you have the opportunity to choose the program. So for some of those resources, you're going to want them to show up in all of our areas, all in the ScreenU Alcohol screening, ScreenU Rx, and also the resource page that students who indicate that they are in recovery receive. So if that's the case, you'll want to check all of those boxes, and that'll keep us from having to upload some of the same resources repetitively. So the Renew Purchase Programs tab is just a place where it's going to keep you on track of how much time left you have on your license and an ability to renew those licenses. And the reporting feature is one of the things that we're most excited about offering. As Kristen mentioned, our reports are all done in real time. So as soon as a student takes a screening, you'll be able to view the data on your reporting dashboard. So we can take a look at the report of campaigns individually, and we'll see how many students responded that they were in recovery, how many responded that they hadn't used in the last 12 months, so that's that gateway question. And then we see the data by question, so how many students answered or the way they answered for each question, as well as the data for the overall risk level. And I think it's important to note that the data that we're seeing here is all from a test account that we've been using to test ScreenU, so none of this is data from students actually taking the screening. So one of the things that you can do with the data, we wanted to make sure that it was easy to use and easy to show administrators what is happening with ScreenU and what you're seeing on your campus. So all of our images are available for download. You can download those pictures to be able to use in reports, and we also have a downloadable CSV down here at the bottom. So we can export our data so that we can see all of it and how a specific person answered. Again, the screening itself is anonymous, so we don't know who that person is, but we can see how they answered, and we can also see their responses to our motivational interviewing questions and how ready they were for change in that CSV. So with that, I think we're ready to walk through a couple of screenings. So I want to start with an alcohol screening, and we just want you to kind of get an idea of what students will see when they go through a screening. So we will choose a screening. Kristen showed you our welcome message. So this welcome message is what was put in that box on the Create a New Campaign. Our welcome and thank you messages are unique to the campaign. So you have an opportunity to personalize those to a specific group of people if that makes sense for the campaign that you are selecting. We collect some simple demographics, and then students go to our gateway question. And again, we use the audit for the alcohol screening. So the first question is identifying if they have used an alcoholic drink in the past 12 months. And we're going to answer the audit question so that we get a high-risk score, just so we can take a look at what feedback looks like for a student who has screened at a high-risk level. Give me one moment, I'll answer all of these questions. So once a student has completed the screening portion, they'll receive feedback. So the feedback is looking at their risk level and identifying other risk factors that may indicate that they have a substance use disorder, in this case, alcohol. So this is what a student would see after taking the screening. Once they take the screening, they would be moved to a section that helps fill the void with motivational interviewing piece and looking at behavioral change. So they answer the following questions. What are some reasons you thought about changing your drinking? If others have expressed concerns for your drinking, what have they said? That's a question that's conditional to it ties back to a question on the audit. So if a student answers yes to the question about having someone express concerns, they will see this question. If they answer no, they will not see that question. And if you just did decide to change or stop drinking alcohol, what positive impacts might that have on you? So we're just going to fill in this for the moment to move forward. Then we have our sliding scale to allow a student to indicate how ready they are for change. So this lets a student think about where they are at in their readiness for change and identify that, and it will help us. They will receive a different set of resources based on their readiness for change. So it sounds like we're pretty ready to change our drinking behavior. So here are some things that that they can do. So because we were at high risk, this resource page encourages someone to touch base and meet with someone at Student Health Services, Student Wellness Center, or counseling services to speak with them to indicate if they have a substance use disorder. So that is at the forefront on this page, but we also give them some strategies to reduce their drinking or drink in a more low-risk way. So those are included as well. Each of these resources are populated because we have those in our campus resources that we populated. Any resource that doesn't pre-populate and pull automatically can be found at the additional resources page. So we have some national resources that will populate, but other resources will populate here as well if they are not found up on top. And in your handbook for ScreenU, you'll be able to clearly see which resources populate automatically somewhere in one of the screening tools so that we can make sure to have those resources completed. So now I'd like to just walk through the ScreenU RX screening as well. Again, the layout is very similar to the ScreenU alcohol. You'll see the same welcome page that's just been adjusted to make it accurate for prescription drug misuse. Now, the screening tool for ScreenU RX has been created in-house at the Higher Education Center. We did that intentionally because we felt like the screening tools that are used to screen for drug use right now typically lump all drugs together, and it doesn't give us a good understanding of the behavior around the misuse. And we felt like to be effective in addressing prescription drug misuse, we needed to be able to know what the reason behind someone choosing to misuse was so that we can combat misperceptions around that as part of the feedback. So students have a gateway question, just like the ScreenU alcohol piece, asking if they have misused, and then they move on to the screening and the motivational interviewing questions and receive the feedback. But for this piece, I'd like to answer no and give you an idea of if a student says no, they haven't misused prescription medications, or no, they have not used alcohol, the information that they would receive. So they get a positive reinforcement page here that is indicating, it's great that you are using medications only as prescribed. And here are some other ways you can help reduce prescription drug misuse on your campus. So giving them tools to use medication safely. Students also have the opportunity for both screenings to download their resources, print those or email them. And we can also track completion for our screening. If you utilize the CSV piece with the screenings, you can track whether or not a student has completed it. And they also have the ability to download a certification of completion. So again, the screening is anonymous, so you wouldn't be able to see the data associated with a student's screen, but you could identify whether or not they completed that screening. One of the other things that we've added on the tab right now is a provide feedback page. So this allows you to give us instantaneous feedback if you come across an error, if you have a suggestion or a comment that would be helpful as we look to making ScreenU better in the future. But the error report is something that is really important right now. We've spent a lot of time testing ScreenU, but we know that there are probably still some bugs out there that we haven't seen. And if you come across any of those, it'd be helpful to us to report those so that we can make sure that we clean those up for you. And with that, I'm going to turn things back over to Kristen. She's going to just walk you through how to register through the pilot process.
Alrighty. It's a quick process in order to get started. The first thing that we'll ask you to do is to sign up. And you'll click Not Yet a Member, click here to sign up. And you'll get a screen that allows you to type in your information. So we'll do something like this. This email might already be taken, so I'm going to have to do a different email. Down here, I suggest you try out both programs and click 1 year. Typically, this would cost the campus $1,500 per year, but again, you will receive this without cost for the first calendar year. Looks like my email is already taken. Let's try a different one. I'll do my alma mater. Here we go. You have to choose what you want. Here we go. Now for payment, in order to bypass payment, I suggest that you click invoice. We will receive an email asking us to confirm that you are a true customer, and I'll put that you have paid, and then your account will become active. With that, you will receive an email with your username and a link to create a password. You'll be able to log in from there and then begin to populate your information. What I suggest you do at first is make sure that you have talked with the folks on campus and figured out who's going to be the main contact for this free account. Other people are welcome to log into that single main account in order to create and deploy campaigns. We encourage that actually. But we just need to make sure that you at first decide who's going to be the main contact. Secondly, get with all the resources on campus to make sure you have accurate information for the resources section. And then I encourage you to reach out if you have any questions about how to send campaigns to an identified group of students. Sometimes that can be a little tricky. If you haven't done mail merge before, we'd be happy to help you. And then complete the quarterly reporting. And with that, that's really all you need to do to go ahead and get started. And here is Cindy.
So we're just going to see if anyone has any questions. We're going to get back to our WebEx page and check that. Okay. So if any of you have questions as you're taking a look at the tool, I encourage you to send myself or Kristen an email. You can reach us at dalquist.5, DAHLQUIST.5, and at osu.edu, or myself, Clowner, CLOUNER.2 at osu.edu. And Colleen just asked a question, what is the deadline for OCI members to sign up? December 1st is our deadline. So we encourage you to go ahead and take advantage of the free pilot so that you can get rolling, since we have, about 5 weeks until that deadline. We want to make sure that our Ohio College Initiative campuses have the opportunity to take full advantage of some of the resources that the Higher Ed Center is providing us. And then if you have questions later about how we can help you implement that, we'd be happy to work with you to make that happen. With that, again, we invite any other questions. You can reach out to us by email, but we appreciate you signing on and joining us, and look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you.